60 seconds ago, it was a wall of white and there was snow everywhere. A matter of a minute. There's not too many things more American than baseball. Quick, name one. I couldn't. Then I thought of the old saying, you've heard it your whole life. It's just as true now as it was when it was coined in the 70s. Baseball is as American as chimichangas and Subarus. Wait, no, that's not it. It's baseball as American as apple pie and Chevrolet. It's one of those. In my shows, I don't mention what country a player is from. Nearly all are U.S. born. It only figures since baseball is American as tacos and Toyotas. I've done 4 shows on players born south of the border and from the islands of Cuba and Puerto Rico, but this episode is different. And it's perfectly fitting for today because we're going in the other direction and heading up north to Canada. I've taken you to Vancouver and Montreal to talk about teams, but today we're talking about a player from British Columbia and the little city of Vernon, to be exact. That's where Edward Oliver Bowsfield was born, January 10th, 1935. Nicknamed Canada's Teddy Ball Game, or the Penticton Peach, or Ted. Pitcher, lefty, MLB debut 1958, a member of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame since 1988. I give the date of birth today because Mr. Bowsfield is still with us at the age of 89. Ted's family would move to Penticton, another small city, same as the first, where hockey and basketball ruled, and there was no little league or high school baseball. Ted's dad would go out of his way to round up local kids and arrange games with other towns. He remembers his dad's giant car. It was a Hudson. They'd pack 11 bodies of varying sizes into it and head out for games. For me, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I played Bobby Kennedy flag football. And in the fall, when it got too dark to practice, our coach, Mr. Murphy, would pack the whole team into his work van full of tools with nowhere to sit. Then we'd drive around looking for an empty parking lot with lights so we could practice. That's why we were back-to-back champs. I can picture Ted and all 11 passengers packed in that car and how they would have fallen out when reaching their destination. Looking back, Ted says, I was very fortunate I made it as far as I did. The odds of it happening were not too great. He gives all the credit to his dad and says that's why he made it, but is quick to point out his athleticism comes from his mom. She played baseball and so did her sisters, and his Aunt Vi was the first one to play catch with Ted when he was small. By the age of 14, there was something special about him, and even though Ted wasn't yet 6'1", 190 pounds, he could throw hard, and when he did fill out, he would put all 190 pounds into that pitch. Ted Bowsfield began pitching for his local semi-pro team, the Penticton Athletics, and he was their ace. He was 17 when he got his first break, spotted playing in a 1952 Rotary tournament in Atlanta, where Ted was a crowd favorite. That led to an invite to pitch for the Trail Smokies, who were all set to play against a team of Cuban All-Stars. Ted said, the Cuban All-Stars were really good. They traveled to tournaments all over the USA, and that's how they made their money, and they usually won. I pitched against them and lost 1-0, but I struck out 17 of them. That was a tournament record and got him his second break. There were big league scouts at that game. And a day after he graduated high school, those scouts from the States, including the Braves, Browns, and Cardinals, wanted to sign the hard-throwing lefty. But he signed with the Boston Red Sox and their scout, Earl Johnson. For a few years, Ted was working his way around 4 of Boston's affiliates, including the San Jose Red Sox in 1955 and the San Francisco Seals in 1956. And that's where he broke his ankles really bad sliding into second base and would miss a full year. My dad saw him play in 1956 before Ted broke his ankle and got his signature and has a program with Ted in it. Pop would meet Ted 3 years later and got his autograph again at Boston's 1959 spring training camp in Scottsdale. So in July 1958, Boston calls Ted Bowsfield up to the major leagues and in his first game pitched a scoreless inning of relief. Nice way to remember your big league debut. And at the same time, got to watch how a future Hall of Fame pitcher, Jim Bunning, throws a no-hitter. Ted laughs and says he's in the American Hall of Fame because he's in that box score. Ted wouldn't be able to match that no-hitter, though he did beat the Yankees 3 straight times his rookie season. But 1959 didn't start out as good, and he was sent down to the Minneapolis Millers, where he met up with Ted Wills. And the two pitchers would help the Millers get to the 1959 Junior World Series and play against the Cuban champs in Cuba. Ted remembers Fidel Castro entering each game through the bullpen and couldn't help but notice Fidel's pearl-handled revolvers and how there were teenagers with machine guns in the dugouts. Both Teds would get crucial wins in that series, but the Millers would lose Game 7 in a 3-2 heartbreaker. Ted was doing better with the Red Sox in 1960, then was traded in June along with Marty Keough to the Cleveland Indians for Russ Nixon and Carroll Hardy. Ted Bowsfield was put into the Tribe's pitching rotation, but has better memories in Boston, making lifelong friends with guys like Ted Williams, saying, "Ted was good to everybody. And I can tell you this, I saw all the great hitters. I saw Musial, Mays, Mantle, Kaline, but he was the best hitter I ever saw." After the 1960 season, Ted Bowsfield was taken from the Indians by the LA Angels in the 1961 expansion draft and would get into the Angels' inaugural home opener, coming in for the starter, Eli Gerba. Ted had the best season of his career in 1961, going 11-8, and was the Angels' best pitcher. The 1962 season saw his nagging arm and shoulder issues worsen, taking the steam and power out of his throws, forcing him to rely on his curveball. Yet, he still started 25 games for the Halos that year. Ted was traded and played his last two MLB seasons with Kansas City Athletics and had a few starts, including back-to-back complete games in 1963, but mostly came out of the bullpen while managing his injury. He gave it one more try in 1965, a half season with Vancouver Mounties, until the pain just wasn't worth it, and he retired at the age of 30. Ted says, "For years I was living on cortisone." He never did find out what his injury was. Over 200 big league appearances in his 7-year Major League Baseball career, with nearly 100 starts, going 37-39. If you're one of the good guys in baseball, they let you hang around. Ted learned the ropes on how to be a director of stadium operations, which he did for 10 years with the LA Angels, becoming good friends with the owner, Gene Autry. Later, he held the same position, working in Seattle as head of the Mariners Kingdom. Ted also started a consulting business that involved a few stadiums and domes being built. Okay, let's go back to 1958 and Ted Bowsfield as a rookie describing his first time coming to Yankee Stadium. He said, "There used to be this dark tunnel that comes down into the dugout, and then all of a sudden you were at field level. The first thing I heard coming out of the tunnel was a loud crack. The sound was just totally different. Usually a hit ball will make a thud. As I get out on the field, I hear that crack again. I look at the batting cage to see who's making that noise when he hit the ball. The uniform was number 7, and number 7 was Mickey Mantle. I was just locked in place, watching him swing the bat and seeing how hard those balls were being hit." But Ted wasn't psyched out after watching and hearing the Mick warm up, because in his first start at Yankee Stadium, he held them hitless through 6 1/3 innings, completed 7, and earned the win. Ted says, "The second game I pitched at Yankee Stadium was probably one of my best. I think I struck out 9 that game." He pitched a complete game. Red Sox won 4-2. He would beat the Yankees 3 straight times as a rookie, and that's part of the reason he was named Red Sox Rookie of the Year for 1958. So, just my luck. I don't believe in luck. Yeah, it stopped snowing just as I got this thing going. Now you can see all the way over out into the hills. Let's just keep rolling with this one. We'll end today's show in beautiful Minnesota. Darn, too bad it's not snowing. It's May of 1963. Ted Bowsfield and the Kansas City A's are visiting the Twins, and it's one of the few starts for Ted that season. The game is in the later innings. The A's have a 5-0 lead. Ted is pitching a no-hitter. The A's new owner, the unpredictable Charlie Finley, sends word down to the dugout that he has a $1,000 check for Ted if he gets that no-hitter. Thanks for that, Mr. Finley. Now we're in the bottom of the 9th, and Ted still has his no-hitter going. As he approaches the mound, he has 1,001 things to think about. He walks the first batter. Now he has 1,002 things to think about. Veteran Vic Power steps up to the plate and slaps a single past third base. There goes $1,000, eh? You'll get the win, but miss out on buying a lot of Canadian bacon, eh? Like Maxwell Smart said to the chief, Missed it by that much.